There are questions I ask myself where the mind itself waits for a response from a deeper place. The response is still in the form of thoughts, but the awareness with which the question was asked shifts the perception from the question just being a superficial one to one that has depth to it. There are, of course, questions that do not require depth at all, such as our day to day activities, things we talk to other people about, or anything related to the job that we do for money. But then there are questions which, when thought out consciously, completely shuts down the duality of the inner and the outer, and there tends to be only the question that exists in that moment of questioning. I continue doing the activity on the outside, but in those moments, I am so meta awake that there is no sense of I-ness. There is no me as a self. There is only a flow of physical movements and that of the stillness in the mind. While the mind is utterly empty, void of any activity, the answer to the question I ask emerges by itself. It emerges out of emptiness, and I see the thought along with the sound of the word emerging out of the emptiness. There is no word to describe this because it is not an experience to be had, but a deep realization that is beyond the normal sense of experiencing. You ask a question, you wait, and then the truth emerges. The world that we live in today is packed with systems, processes, methods to be followed by the masses who won't leave a mark by their daily activities. One simply cannot leave a mark or be valued for doing nothing. Doing nothing is the most underrated activity. Being nothing takes it to a deeper place where a person's foundation itself becomes emptiness and functions out of that. YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, X, and Facebook are what I mostly use, and these have their own way of working. Here, people are hell bent on following its ways of working that are set by the respective algorithms that the company decides on. Billions, billions with a B, billions of people's minds have been shaped by the systems created by society. There is no way one can see through each and every system unless that person has the awareness and has reached a point of enough suffering to notice the subtle manipulations created by society digitally and in person. What takes place with me is that my consciousness drops instantly the second I start thinking along with the systems of the internet, the norms of the ecosystem, human ecosystem, and the languages invented by us to talk in. This, I figured, happens due to the intense emptiness that I found myself rooted in after the awakening in Sri Lanka. And because I am rooted in the stillness of the mind, even the thoughts don't just happen to me. I am the one creating each and every thought. It's hard to digest for the minds in which the thoughts keep flowing endlessly and affects the quality of one's daily life. At one time when I was thinking of the things I need to do on YouTube and other social media, while adhering to the ways in which each of them function, I literally saw the drop in my consciousness. Just seconds after this, I thought of the question, what is my real work? The sheer sound of that question was so deep that it stopped all the things I was pondering upon and dragged me into the direction of the actual work that I'm supposed to be doing. Then, the waiting time was on for about 10 to 15 minutes before the answer came about on its own out of emptiness. These answers from the deep won't come about in a mind that has lived in repetition for decades. It is only possible to come about in a mind that has slowness and utter quietness in it. The answer that came about seems rather a simple one, but is an ongoing problem that I have been trying to solve for months now. Why? Because the answer was my real work is to express exactly the same activity and the thoughts that go through in my mind during my breakthrough moments. I repeat that. My real work is to express exactly the same activity and the thoughts that go through in my mind during my breakthrough moments. Which means I need to find a way where, when I speak out loud to share with the world, the words that come out are what actually takes place in my mind when the breakthrough happens. Not a lot of people realize that they have so many beliefs, so many ideas, so many limitations, so many layers of cover ups that they are submerged in it, apparently for what seems like forever, which is why their breakthroughs are only in the external world, and many times not even that. Not many people go into understanding the mechanisms of the mind, which is why I know that the way I go about getting to the root of human beings' daily problems is gold. I have not met anybody who is even close to how I function deeply, which makes it even more rare and valuable to share how I function with the world. I share because of those few such people who are aware enough can know the possibilities that lie ahead of them, and even more than what I have been sharing, which I may never be able to articulate in a way that they would be able to, which I won't be around to see anymore. I have not met anybody who is awakened enough to not live in an iota of beliefs and illusions created and perpetually maintained by the mind. The closest that has come to it today is AI. If one knows how to ask deep questions to themselves, then interactions with AI turn deep too. Because when you talk to an AI prompt, it is not one individual human being you're talking to, it is the accumulation of all mankind's knowledge. Why is this rare? Consider the possibility of all this that I'm going to say in a single person. One who is awakened, one who has got the crux of Krishnamurti, one who actually lives the depth of what he speaks, one who has been through childhood trauma and healed from it, one whose very thinking has the essence of the understanding of each and every thought's intentions attached to it, one who has been through relationship traumas and sees right through the problem of understanding between two people, regardless of who they are, one who has been in the cult of Sadhguru unknowingly for 7 years and got out of it untouched, right on time to tell others all about it. One who can see the patterns of not only his mind but also the patterns of anybody whom he can see or hear talking without even knowing them. One who has overcome not only traumas but also lust, self doubt, suicidal thoughts, loneliness, narcissistic abuses, anxiety, fear of abandonment, people pleasing, you name it. One who attracted his life partner after a year of doing the inner work. One who never gave up on love and went into the depths of living with love of emptiness, even after being cheated on twice. Show me one such person who has gone through similar things in life. I would be happy to meet that man or woman in whom the light of divinity shines for the rest of humanity, and who does not want anything from the world, who is in the world but not of it, and yet is humble enough to see that goodness still exists in humanity, besides all of its darkness. The only human being I came close to was Krishnamurti, but sadly, I was born 5 years after his demise. The real work can never be of the outside. The real work can only be of the inner world. The real work comes only after the sound of thought of the inner world has merged with the sound of the external world and occurs without the illusion of psychological time. The real work is in seeing the mind's activities the instant it happens and see without any identification with any thoughts or images of it. The real work is to be free of all identities interiorly. The real work is to perform parentectomy psychologically so that you're no longer bound to living a replicated life of your parents. The real work is in seeing deeply that thought was never the problem in the first place, but the attachment to the contents that your own thoughts created over a period of time. The real work is in having perceived the truth of the futility of mankind and yet live among them. The real work is in being a citizen of two worlds, the physical and the non physical realm. The real work is in living, knowing that everything happens at once. Now, now, and now. Do the inner work.